It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Blue Stakes of Utah 811 2021 Damage Prevention Awareness Webinar. We have a great group and a great presentation today that we hope that you will find your time well spent. We hope that you have a few takeaways today and heighten your awareness about safety. My name is Spence Felstead, Public Relations Coordinator for Blue Stakes of Utah 811. I certainly would like to thank our co-sponsors, the AGC, Associated General Contractors, as well as the UPA, the Utah Pipeline Association. Again, for those of you who are past attendees, you'll know that these two groups and individuals that have supported us for years, we're grateful to them and very appreciative of the support that they provide and the help. Without them, we would not be able to continue to do what we do on an annual basis. As you can well tell, we are in a virtual meeting format today. I've mentioned this a few times, but certainly need to run through this once again. All of you as attendees, you can use the chat to communicate with everyone. Direct your questions in the Q&A for our panelists. We have the Blue Stakes management team as well as our guest speakers who I will introduce in just a few minutes. We have all of those individuals as panelists today, and they will be monitoring the chat as well as the Q&A. You are in a listen and view only mode, as I have mentioned today. However, at the end of the webinar, we will enable the raise of hands. We will give you a hot mic, and that will be after the webinar. Then we'll have an open discussion for as long as the questions continue to come in. The panelists can certainly share their audio and video today, and again, they will be answering your questions. Here's just a quick screenshot of at the end how it will look when we enable the raise of hands. We are in a condensed 1-hour format today. The webinar is being recorded. Towards the end of the presentation, I will talk about the Excavation Safety 101. The additional ability for you all to take a 2-hour safety training course. Now, this is applicable and pertinent for everyone, not just those individuals who are looking for additional license credit. As you registered, you saw the process on rewarding the gift cards, but I would like to run over that a little bit here today. It will be a random drawing that will not take place today. It will take place in another couple of weeks once our data has been dissected, and then I will be reaching out to you. Again, today we have 3 $100 Amex gift cards that will be awarded, and again, I will reach out to those individuals, random drawing, well after a couple of weeks. As you registered, I know that a lot of you are looking for credit today for the webinar. Here is just a high-level overview. I'm not going to read through each one of those. I'm just going to point out that this year, unlike years past when we are face-to-face, this year you have the ability for 1 hour or 0.1, depending upon your classification. I would like to run a couple of polling questions. Get ready for the first one. We like to see how many first-time attendees we have. So here's the question. Is this your first damage prevention awareness event that you have attended? Again, we'll leave our polling questions open today for a very short amount of time so that we can proceed without delay throughout the entire webinar. We'll go ahead and close the polling, and 36% of you are first-time attendees. Excellent. We've got a great group here today. Again, over 400 registered for this event? Next question coming up. What is your role in the excavation process? Do you create tickets? Are you an excavator? Are you a locator? Perhaps both 1 and 2. Do you create your own tickets and then go out and excavate? Perhaps you're a smaller company, or none of the above. Certainly our operators would fit into that, as well as maybe administrative assistants or whatever support individuals are on the webinar today. Go ahead and close that, and let's see, we've got a good sampling across the board there. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure now to introduce the agenda. Our first guest speaker will be Seth Plaisir. He is a supervisor with Dominion Energy. He is also the secretary of the Utah Pipeline Association, and he will be addressing us on pipeline awareness. Next, it will be our pleasure to hear from the Senior Vice President of Operations with ELM Utility Services, Mr. Harley Hartman. He will be addressing us on locate safety in general. We'll then hear from Logan Vollinger. He is with the Department of Commerce. He is a pipeline safety engineer, and he'll speak on code enforcement. It will then be my pleasure to address you. At this point in time, I would like to turn the time over to Seth.
Thank you so much, Spencer. It's great to be with you all today, wherever you might be across this great state. You know, hope you got your cup of coffee, your morning smoothie, whatever it is that you do to wake you up. I have the pleasure to work with the Utah Pipeline Association. My day job is I work for Dominion Energy out of our Park City office, which covers Summit and Wasatch counties. But today I kind of want to introduce you a little bit, real quick, to the Utah Pipeline Association. We have 28 member companies that make us up this year, and there are different transmission companies, pipeline operators from across the state. Got a quick overview of the state. We have literally 1,000 upon 1,000 miles of these larger diameter, higher pressure pipelines that run across our state. There's only 2 counties, which would be Kane and Wayne County, that are we don't have these pipelines in, as you can see from this photo. And I don't need you to memorize or know the exact location of these lines, but I am going to go over some signs. So if it does run in your county or through an area where your project, you can kind of explain to your crews, or just be on the lookout, because the damage to one of these lines would be pretty catastrophic. So one thing I kind of wanted to go over with you is maybe the kind of the textbook pipeline right away, what it might look like. And that's what we've got up here in the upper left-hand corner, where you might have a grassy way with trees lining the outside of it. You can have one or multiple pipelines running down these same corridors. And I often get a question asked, what's the depth of our pipe? And the only good answer I can say, or what our current running line is it varies and it depends. The only way to really know is to have that line potholed, because I don't know, there's several things that can happen over the course of the time since the pipe's been in the ground. There might have been an underground obstacle they had to try to go over or under. It could have, as land starts to develop, let's say it's like farmland, like down in the bottom left-hand corner here we see, you might start going through cultivated fields, but then as development progresses, we might have a line that runs behind some homes or close to where people live. And in those cases, the grade has a potential to change over time. And so the depth of what we initially installed the pipe might not be the depth of where the line's currently at. So that's what makes it difficult to answer that kind of a question. So I went out around my county and just on Google Earth and had a little fun and found an example of, let's say, this kind of a textbook right-of-way where we've got some grasses growing in the middle and we've got trees kind of on either side. We can see 2 pipeline markers here out of that. We're going to jump over to Colville for a second. This is kind of, let's say, a cultivated field that you might end up running into. And the only way that you would know that we've got one of these transmission lines running through this area is by a marker right here that's 6 on the line. Okay. And then as time, as we were saying, builds up, sometimes we'll even have instances like this where structures will be built up right next to the pipeline right of way. And it's nice in this photo, you can see that someone had called out and there are some blue stake markings, on the ground. And so it could be in any of these situations where there's homes or no homes around where you potentially could have well, some of these lines. Now, besides crossing roads, sometimes these lines will end up paralleling a road, whether it's at the current time of installation or future development might come in. And in that instance, we see up in this upper land corner, there's 2 pipelines that happen to run through a residential area. I'm going to jump over here and kind of talk about this other photo I've got here. I'm going to jump over to Google Earth. And as you can see here, down in the bottom left-hand corner, I've got some markings out on the ground. And it says DEG, which stands for Dominion Energy Gas, high pressure 24-inch. Okay? And as we can kind of see it, it's running right down the middle of that median. Now, for an operator like such as myself, I can't necessarily place markers as we go down the middle of the road. You know, that's not going to be feasible. So I'm going to start looking around here to see where we might be able to find a marker for this line. And so as I turn, I don't have to turn too far, and I can notice right here that there's a marker indicating the location that there is one of these transmission lines nearby. Now, we learned a couple things from this scenario. Is one, pipeline markers aren't necessarily always above or directly above the pipeline. They're generally in the vicinity of it. And for a case like this where we might parallel and would be in the roadway, look for signs or markers that are on the edge of the roadways. And if we look around further in this photo, we'll actually see, you might have noticed there's some yellow posts here and some over here. There's actually another transmission pipeline that crosses this street. So we're required by federal regulation on the operation of these lines that anytime that we cross a road like this, to always have 2 markers. And anytime as we continue down, the next marker's always got to be line of sight. So if you stood here and we look down, we'd always be able to see the next marker. Okay. I'm going to jump over back in here and kind of start showing you some examples of what some pipeline markers might look like. They come in various shapes and sizes. Often you might see a post on the side of the road, or you might see a flat fiberglass panel such as this. You might see some metal signs that are rectangular in shape. These might be on chain link fences. They might be on buildings. They might be on some T-posts, as you kind of can see as I've cropped out here. They could be circular. They're not, they could be trapezoidal like this example. There's no real regulation that way, just that the lines need to be marked in some form or fashion. There are 3 things that are common on any pipeline marker, no matter what you go out and what they might look like. The first thing they're going to tell you is the product that's being transported. Okay. The next, they're going to give you a contact number. This can be used in the case of an emergency, or it could just be used if you have questions about the line, etc. And it'll always tell you who owns the line and who's operating that line. In this case, it's Endeavor. Okay, you might come across this during your course of your career. You might not, but it's good to kind of review just in case you ever come across a leak, and just to kind of know what the warning signs of a leak might be. Now, if we're talking about these liquid lines, which could carry potentially, let's say, crude oil, or it could be a refined product, so it could be shipping diesel or gasoline or a different octane, higher octane, like a jet fuel or something. When we're running at a higher pressure and those come out to atmospheric pressure, that can actually form a vapor cloud that comes out. The product could pool, it could cause a sheen on water, you could hear a hissing noise, or you could tell by the smell. Now, if we're talking about a natural gas pipeline, if it's going under a waterway, you might see water bubbling up, you might see some dead vegetation around, hear a hissing noise. If it's a larger hole in the line, you might get a sound of a jet engine, and there potentially could be an odor. If we're talking about transmission, natural gas transmission lines, many of those, most of those in the state are not odorized. Methane in its natural state does not have a smell. It's odorless, and only when it runs in the distribution lines typically or when that is odorized. So smell is not the only indication of a natural gas leak. So transmission lines, what we've been talking about, are generally the ones that run in the hundreds of pounds and with larger diameter steel lines. But that doesn't mean that any line isn't, the smaller lines are necessarily safer to dig around. This instance came up in 2019 back in North Carolina, and this was only a 3/4 inch service line that ran from the main into the building. And the line pressure wasn't even very high. So pressure is not necessarily an indication either. It only ran at 4 ounces of pressure, which is 1/4 PSI. That's usually approximately what all of your appliances run at in your home. And what had happened is a horizontal directional drill company had set up a machine and they were installing some sort of conduit, and they failed to daylight or pothole the service line when they crossed it. And they ended up hitting it, and gas ended up getting into this building. The result of this, you can kind of see from the photos, 2 individuals died and 25 were injured. Now, this example about a liquids line is a little older. It's about 20 years old, but I really liked it because it kind of explains a couple things. One is it's the fumes from these liquid lines that burn. It's not the liquid itself. And so if it gets into a waterway, as we can see here, it got into a waterway and the fumes ignite, it can cause the product to spread a lot quicker and cause a lot more damage a lot faster. So what happens in the case that you end up inadvertently damaging one of those lines, or you see a leak or cause a leak? This is what I want you to do, okay? I want you first and foremost, make sure yourself and your crew get to a safe location. The fumes off of these only take a very small amount per volume of air before they can ignite. So I want you to get away before you make a phone call. The next thing I want you to do is call 911. After that, I want you to go find one of these pipeline markers that are line of sight away from this location to the next closest one and call the operators as soon as you can, whoever's operating that line. So get your crew safe, call 911, and then call the pipeline operator. Okay, with that, we're at the point, we've got 3 questions to ask you. So get ready to answer those quickly here. Can I have the first question, please? Okay, are all pipelines buried at the same depth? Is that a true statement or a false statement? Look at that, 100% of you are correct. They are not all buried at the same depth. Well done. Okay, let's have the second question. And I thank you for the music. I like the Jeopardy music. Okay, it says, what information can be found on a pipeline marker? Was it the year it was installed in the depth? Is it the product being transported, the operating company, and an emergency number? Or is it the operating pressure and diameter of the pipeline? Thank you all for your quick responses. And 94% of you are correct. It is the product transported to the operating company and that emergency number. Okay, our last and final question I've got for you is, in the event of a pipeline leak or damage, which of the following actions should be taken? Call 911 from a safe place, or is it call the pipeline's emergency number, or is it the last one, all of the above? All right, thank you very much. And 97% of you are correct. I'd just like to say one last thing. In behalf of all of the operating companies that make up the Utah Pipeline Association, as you go about your projects, we really would like to work and partner with you. If you ever have a question about anything, please don't hesitate to give us a call, and we will try to send someone out, meet with you as quickly as possible. And with that, I thank you, and I'd like to turn the time over to Harley now.
All right. Thank you, Seth. And good morning, everyone. As Spence said, my name is Harley Hartman, and I am the Senior Vice President of Operations over here at ELM. This morning, I'd like to be talking to you about effective damage prevention communication. So one of the weakest cogs in the damage prevention industry, as we see it, is effective communication. Common communication breakdowns, lack of white lining, delayed tickets, and facility marks and labels. So white lining reduces incidents. You can see in the photo over to the right there, we've got a nice job white lined. Communication between excavators and locators is the theme to white lining job sites. White lining precisely guides locators to the exact boundaries where the excavation will occur. White lining helps ease the burden of locators' heavy workloads by giving them more time to accomplish accurate locates in the reduced excavation areas. White lining reduces the number of delayed locates for the excavator. Every delayed locate increases the likelihood that a locator could fail to notify the excavator of the delay, or white lining makes job sites safer for locators by reducing walking, bending, accessing structures, time spent in traffic, that's a big one, and accessing additional lots. White lining prevents excessive markings, which leads to complaints. So some of the reasons to white line every time. Information provided by the excavator working in the field is often difficult to describe to the one-call center. Locate tickets called in by office personnel who are often unfamiliar with the physical area can create confusion. This typically results in requesting larger areas for the ease of the requester, but creates unnecessary effort and time spent for the locators. So some tips for white lining. Identify your company's name and/or blue stake ticket number in the white lined area. Photograph the white line markings and geotag the images with GPS information. Include fixed reference points in your photographs to document your work areas. Ensure access is available for locators. If you don't have white paint, use flags, white flags, stakes, and when using a single flag or stake, always include the radius of the flag or stake. Ensure location of job site is correct to prevent further delays. One question we get on the white lining is, how do we use white paint in the wintertime? That's where the white flags come in handy. You can still write your ticket number or your company name on that white flag, and the directions on the ticket will lead us to those flags. So what often gets overlooked are the hundreds and possibly even thousands of times damages are prevented by excavators because they went the extra mile to white line the job site. From 12/1 of 19 to 12/1 of 2020, all the jobs that ELM investigated, only 3.4% of those jobs were white line. So I really believe we've got room for improvement there, and it'll help the communication. So some of the potential reasons for your delayed tickets, we run into the no access, threatening animals, weather, complex locates, trouble locates, and large projects. I always like to point out the trouble locates. This photo down here in the bottom middle. You can see that service going up and over to the right here. But if you look right here off to the side, you can see that wire's broken. So we wouldn't have an electronic signal on that. We'd have to pull documentation, pull some measurements, and it takes more time to figure out where that pipe is actually at. And then these large projects, if we can get that area white lined and only have to mark the area that you're going to be excavating in, also helps. So every delayed locate increases the likelihood that a locator could fail to notify the excavator of the delay, or the excavator could fail to receive the locator's notification of the delay. Imagine a locate request was called in for marking the entirety of Lot A. The locator may have access lots B, A, B, and C to complete this locate. The locator is able to access lots A and B and marks those gas services and mains. However, due to that threatening dog in lot C, they cannot access to mark lot C's gas service. Down here in the bottom, we got a dog. If the excavator arrives to the partially marked job site, they see the marked gas pipes and could easily assume all the gas has been located and marked. If there is a breakdown in the communication of the unmarked gas service, a damage could occur. So here's an example. Inspecting the job site and checking for delayed locates notifications prior to excavating is always recommended. Excuse me. If excavators see a facility that may be unmarked, please call for clarity to prevent a damage. So this photo on the right here, this is one I like to show where the ticket called for entire lot, putting in a fence. The wrong lot got marked, started digging. Luckily, you can see these two holes over here in the photo. Luckily, they were starting their fence back here and going towards the back of the yard. You can see this gas meter up here on the front house here. No marks. Luckily, this gas service went out front to the main in the park strip. Had that came back, it could have been a potential damage. So as an excavator, when you're out there and you see a structure with no marks around it, please give us a call back and we'll get a guy out to see what happened and see what's going on there so that we're not delaying your jobs. So let's talk facility marks and labels. Some of the things you'll see out there: facility owner, abandoned, deactivated, size, material, pressure, duct package, casing, inserts, and offsets. Marks and labels helps excavators identify exactly what is marked. So the photo on the top right here, you can see we've got a communication duct package, we've got a high pressure gas, we've got an abandoned gas, and we've got an offset. And what this offset's telling us is a DEG, Dominion Energy gas, 2-inch steel, 4-foot back of curb. And then over here on the right, we've got a 3-phase electrical line. So be watching for these markings out there so that you know exactly what you're looking for when you're potholing. So take a look at this photo on the right. We've got an abandoned 2-inch steel gas main, and then we've got an active 2-inch plastic gas main. Abandoned or deactivated utilities can create confusion for excavators. Imagine the excavator is digging from left to right. If they expose the abandoned 2-inch steel pipe a few feet or less away from the locate marks, it would be easy for them to assume they exposed the live gas pipe and that the locate marks were incorrect. If they believe they have found the active gas pipe, they're likely to stop hand digging, potholing, and start digging again with mechanical equipment, damaging the active 2-inch plastic gas pipe. Labeling the size and material of the facility helps excavators prevent these type of damages. Common labels for plastic and steel, you'd see a PS, P or an S, or a PLST. So be watching for these labelings out here as you're digging. And if you got any questions, please reach out to us and we'll send somebody out to clarify what's going on with the markings or the question. Just want to talk casing for a minute. Pipes and casings are smaller pipes inserted into larger pipes, common at railroad and road crossings. Photo on the right, you can see we've got this 6-inch plastic pipe going through this 8-inch steel casing. This photo on the left here, this is how you would see it labeled on the ground. Dominion Energy gas, 6-inch plastic in 8-inch steel casing. So when you're potholing and exposing that, you'd be looking for that 8-inch steel, not that 6-inch plastic. When it comes to inserts, inserts are newer services that are pushed through a larger abandoned service. Photo on the right, you can see this new service here. This is the meter coming down off the house and this going into this old abandoned service. So this is how it'd be labeled on the ground for you. Again, Dominion Energy gas, 1/2-inch plastic in a 1-inch steel. But if you look at this bottom photo on the left here, you can see depending on where you're potholing this is what you're going to be looking for, whether it's that 1/2-inch plastic or that 1-inch steel. If you're up close to the house, you might be looking for that 1/2 inch plastic. More out in the yard, you're probably going to be looking for that 1 inch steel, and then up closer to the main, you're going to be looking for where it taps into that main over here. You're going to be looking for that 1/2 inch plastic. So depending on where you're potholing, but anytime you got questions, please reach out to us. So offsets. Offsets are commonly used in areas where locate marks are likely to be destroyed. Offset labels should include reference points to measure the distance to the facility, such as back of curb or back of walk. This offset down in the bottom here, that's what it would look like out in the street. This photo on the right, you can see this new development here, subdivision. We've got a lot of debris, we've got dirt, we've got gravel. If the gas lines are up here in the park strip or up back of walk, those marks could easily be destroyed after our technicians put the marks down. So we ask our technicians to put offsets out in the street in these situations for the excavator. So if the marks are destroyed, you should be able to go to these offsets and get a back of curb or back of walk. We like to use fixed points that aren't going to change. So in summary here, in our industry, specific markings communicate important information to excavators. They are designed to prevent damages. Markings alone are not always sufficient in every situation. Additional methods of communication may be necessary to make sure everyone is informed to protect the people, property, and the facilities. So examine the white line dig area below called in for 400 Alpha Street. The locator communicated to the requester that the ticket was incomplete due to no access at the address of 401 Alpha Street. The requester arrives on site and sees the yellow paint marks below. Can I get the first polling question, please? So is this job site safe to begin excavating? Yes or no? Should be getting closing here in a minute. All right, 75% of you are correct. That is not safe to begin excavating, as we would need access to 401 Alpha Street for the utilities coming off of this property that could potentially go into your dig area over here. A lot of times the gas and other utilities could cross the street as well. Okay, so take a look at that diagram at the bottom there. The gas main is labeled correctly in the diagram below. The requester exposes a 2-inch steel gas main. Second polling question, please. If the gas main is labeled correctly and the requester exposes a 2-inch steel gas main, has the requester exposed the active gas pipe main? Yes or no? I'll give you a few seconds here to answer. Hopefully you're all on your buttons. All right, 63% of you are correct. And I'll talk about that one for a minute. If we look at that diagram again below, we've got this gas line going up to the house labeled as a 3/4 inch plastic. This one out in the park strip, which is the main, we've got it labeled as a gas 2-inch plastic. So if you exposed a 2-inch steel, you have not exposed the active gas pipe. So be watching for those labels and know what you're looking for when you're doing the potholing. All right. These two locate requests would likely take the same amount of time for a locator to complete. If we look at ticket A on the left, locate entire lot and longside crossing streets. However, ticket B over here, locate white lined area in front of lot. Third polling question. These two locate requests would likely take the same amount of time for a locator to complete. True or false? Great. 88% of you are correct. False. It would not take the same amount of time. And I like to give a visual on this one. If we look at ticket A on the left, by what was called in, this is potentially what we would have, the locators would have to mark out there. However, ticket B, if we got it narrowed down to where you're actually digging, it actually takes a lot of work and a lot of unnecessary markings off the locator plate. So with that, I thank you all for your time, and I will turn it over to Logan.
Hello everyone, my name is Logan Vollinger. I'm going to be talking to you all a bit today about my group, Utah Pipeline Safety, and how we fit into the regulatory side of things when it comes to damage prevention in particular. So most of y'all probably heard of PHMSA. That stands for the Pipeline Hazardous Material Safety Administration. They are the federal group that has delegated compliance with the Code of Federal Regulations to our group here at the state level. The Public Service Commission has adopted the federal regulations into our Utah State Code in Title 54, which we're going to talk about quite a bit today. In that Title 54, a number of chapters describe our authority and other rules regarding pipeline safety. My group only regulates intra-state natural gas pipelines, meaning pipelines that begin and end within the state of Utah. The Public Service Commission gave my pipeline safety group that authority in Chapter 13 of that Utah State Code in Title 54 I mentioned earlier. Now, when it comes to hazardous liquid pipelines in Utah, those all fall under PHMSA's jurisdiction. Sometimes the industry refers to pipelines as DOT regulated. Now, this refers to PHMSA and the regs that they have developed and enforce. There's other aspects of the Department of Transportation, such as FAA and all sorts of other groups, I guess, that fall under the DOT there, but PHMSA is the one that we deal with regarding pipelines in particular. When it comes to damage prevention laws in Utah Code, you can find those in Chapter 8A of that Title 54 I keep bringing up. This Chapter 8A runs through important aspects of the law that we'll be touching on all day here, such as that 2 full business day requirement of notification before excavation, not using power equipment within 24 inches of markings, excavators being liable for damages that do occur within that 24 inch of the operator's markings, and who to call and what to do if a damage does occur. It also runs through enforcement guidelines, which we will touch on in the next slide here. So when it comes to enforcement, our pipeline safety group doesn't directly write up a violation or a ticket on site when we get a call and respond to an incident. But we do go out and write reports that we then refer to the Attorney General once we go out and document these incidents as they occur. In addition to monitoring gas operators' procedures and records for compliance with PHMSA regulations, we also respond to incidents involving natural gas pipelines. So if a probable cause involves a violation of Title 54, Chapter 8A, the incident report that we generate is referred to the Attorney General's office, possibly with a recommendation for enforcement. Currently, the Attorney General's office is sending warning letters to operators and excavators based on Utah Pipeline Safety's referral when there are code violations, informing responsible parties that penalties could be imposed depending on repeat offenders or the severity of the incident, for example. Now this slide kind of runs through the actual penalties if the law is violated. And those run up to about $5,000 per violation with a maximum cap of $100,000 per excavation activity. In addition to that, we can add another $500 on top if that excavator failed to provide proper notice to 811 Blue Stakes. And those penalties just go into the state of Utah general fund. All right, with that, I'll turn it back over to Spence of Blue Stakes. Thank you all for your time and attention.
I would like to thank our past three presenters. Well done, gentlemen. Appreciate you sharing your knowledge and expertise with all of us. It's my pleasure now to make some introductions. First off, I would like to introduce the president of Blue Stakes of Utah 811, Mr. Paul Huntsman. We have three center directors, Jeanette Diedrich, Laura Raven, and David Bell. Here's the rest of our management team, myself, Sherry Miller, Russ Stacy, and Dan Spencer. In addition, we have 24 team members, 20 CSRs, customer service representatives, who are on the other end of 811. We have one trainer and 3 team leads. Great group of individuals here that I have the pleasure to work with. We are a nonprofit organization. We are governed by a board of directors. Here are the classifications listing the different organizations for the individual board members. And our board members are listed on our web address, our website, my apologies. We have a total of 624 participating members. Those are the owner operators of the underground utilities. They are who fund Blue Stakes. We are not state funded. I get that question frequently. I always like to share the mission statement. It is certainly to promote public safety, to protect the underground facility, and minimize service interruptions. And we do that primarily by providing damage prevention education, as well as processing accurate locate requests. We are the link between the excavator and the facility owner or operator. So Blue Stakes, we do not do any of the locating, and that is a misunderstanding throughout the state. As I travel around, a lot of individuals, they think that we do the locating and we do not. You've heard from one of the professional locating companies, Harley, today. You know, this next screenshot, I am so pleased to share this with you. A 10-year snapshot of our ticket volume that we have handled in the center. 2011, take a look at the numbers there, 260,000 plus tickets. Jump all the way to 2020. Last year was a banner year for us, a 16% increase from 2019, 550 plus thousand notifications. Unbelievable. For being in a pandemic, we were deemed a necessary work state and everyone continued to work. This was just phenomenal for us. A lot of individuals, their companies asked them to go home to work to be safe. And on the weekends or their days off, a lot of homeowners, they contacted Blue Stakes, submitted ticket requests, and did a lot of personal projects around their home, as well as all of these professionals, you all continue to work and do what you do best. On average, for each ticket that is created, we, Blue Stakes, notify 7 to 8. We send out 7 to 8 notifications to the operators. So if you do the math there, that is somewhere between 3.8 and 4.4 million notifications went out, requests went out. Again, our ticket volume increased 16%. That is an additional 380,000 tickets that were done by you all on our web-based applications. You can see a 10-year snapshot listed here. 2011, we were at 50%. We've just continued to grow that year after year. We are currently running 69%. We hope to be able to increase that in 2021. Please try and utilize our web-based applications. This percentage, this snapshot for 10 years tells us that we are very we have a very user-friendly, easy to navigate website. So give us a try. Now, some of you, I suspect, have already heard about this next announcement that I'm going to make. A mass emailing was sent out a couple of weeks ago, letting you all know that we now have an app. I've had a lot of requests over the years as I've traveled around and met face-to-face with some of you, asking about an app. Well, now we do have an app. Please go to your devices, to your Play stores, and download the Blue Stakes app. The majority of everything that you can do on our website, you can do on the app. Again, our IT department, they are working on a regular basis to keep things updated and to continue to increase other applications on the app. I have a short demo video that I would like to show you regarding the app.
Have you heard the news? Blue Stakes of Utah 811 now has an app that offers many of the tools that you use daily. We've also included a full menu of tools to help get you your job done while on the go, including creating new locate requests or updating an existing request. It also includes our facts for quick references, helpful videos from our YouTube channel, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to the Play Store or App Store and download the Blue Stakes of Utah 811 app today.
Again, certainly just a very, very high-level overview. Spend some time. I think that you will really enjoy that if you download the app and spend some time and become familiar with everything that you can do on there. You know, one of our pre-polling questions talked about electronic positive response, or EPR. I have another short demo video which will explain that.
Hello! Today we're going to go over Electronic Positive Response, or EPR, as provided by Blue Stakes of Utah 811. We'll start by visiting www.bluestakes.org/EPR. You can also access the EPR options under our Locate Request menu and under the Members menu. We have several options provided on this page. First, check your ticket's responses, a sample response, downloading the codes, submitting responses, or requesting more information on EPR. We also have two sections to help facilitate the roles of facility owners and excavators for EPR. Let's take a look at ticket response first. Let's go ahead and pull a ticket. This ticket has several responses provided, including clear, no response, not marked, and marked. Since EPR is voluntary for facility owners in Utah, a no-response facility owner did not post response by required time does not necessarily mean the member did not mark or respond to the request. It could mean that they have chosen not to participate in EPR at this time. Please confirm on-site if markings are present or clear before submitting a second notice due to a no-response code. From here I'll show you the sample of what a response might look like if it was received by email. And here you can download a sheet of all the codes that Blue Stakes of Utah 811 uses in EPR. You can always access the same code information directly on the web page as a quick reference right below the buttons. You can also access EPR lookup through our Blue Stakes of Utah 811 app. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this brief introduction to EPR provided by Blue Stakes of Utah 811, and remember to dig safe.
You know, I think that was a great overview of an additional information that is available to you on our app, certainly as well as our website. All right, it's time to do a couple of polling questions. So get ready, and we will run the first polling question. The state law requires you to call 811 or contact Blue Stakes prior to an excavation project to submit a locate request. Is that true or false? I love seeing these responses come in. Thank you. We'll give it another 5 seconds here and shut it down. "99% of you are exactly correct. It is a state law that you contact Blue Stakes, again, submitting your own request online or calling 811. If you are displacing the earth, the law requires that you have contacted Blue Stakes and you have a valid ticket or locate request number. Next polling question. How soon before digging do you need to call 811 or create an online locate request? 24, 36, 72 hours, or 2 full business days prior to digging? We'll give it just another 3 seconds and we'll shut it down, show you the results, and 88% of you are correct. Well done. The state law indicates that you need to contact Blue Stakes 2 full business days prior to your digging project. That does not include Saturdays, Sundays, or legal holidays. Now, I'm a very visual learner. I would like to show you a visual on this. Go with me on this calendar. Say you created a locate request Monday the 8th, where our logo is, at 10 a.m. On Wednesday the 10th at 10 a.m., you would be legal and valid to dig, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Harley talked about 6 of those, just a couple of them. Perhaps a dog in the yard, so you've got a locked gate, you or not have access to that facility. Perhaps bad weather that has really shut things down. So again, there are extenuating circumstances, so be aware of that. Now we'll talk about the rest of this calendar momentarily after we run the next question. How long is a ticket or locate request valid for? So again, ticket and locate request used synonymously there. You can see all the possible answers, and the majority of you are responding extremely accurately. Another 10 seconds, and we'll shut it down and share the results with you and go back to that visual. All right, we'll share the results with you. 74% of you are correct. It is 14 calendar days. Here is the visual. Exact same calendar. On Monday the 8th, you created your ticket at 10 a.m. On Monday the 22nd at 10 a.m., your ticket would expire. Next question. If excavation activity will continue beyond the 14-day period, an excavator must do what? The request at least 2 business days, but no sooner than 6 calendar days before the original excavation request expiration date. 5 more seconds. Let's close and we'll share the results. 81% of you are correct. It is an update. So let me show you the visual on that. Again, the exact same scenario, same calendar. You would need to do your update 2 full business days before expiration. You would need to do it on Thursday, the 18th, no later than 10 a.m. in the example that we're talking about. Again, you could do it no sooner than Tuesday the 16th, but again, state law, 2 full business days before expiration. Now, what's interesting to note here is that your update ticket would start on Monday the 22nd at 10 a.m. when your original ticket expires. So now you've got a true 14 calendar days to continue excavation because you've done your due diligence, you've followed the state law and done your update correctly. One more question. What is the safety zone or tolerance zone on either side of the marks? 18, 24, 30, 36, or 48 inches. We've got a sharp group here today. I'm very, very pleased that you guys are all, the majority of you are picking the correct answer and you know the state law. You know, my hat goes off to the excavation community for keeping safety a top priority. And our ticket volume certainly showed that. The 550,000 plus tickets certainly shows that safety is a top priority, not only in you, the professionals, but in the homeowners as well. That tells us that we are getting the information out to the individuals in our great state. The results on this question, 91% of you are correct. Let me show you the visual on that. The right picture indicating a single utility, 24 inches on either side, is the safety zone. The left picture, a massive structure underground of different types of facilities. You can see a duct run in the orange paint, communications. You can see a high pressure kind of in the background on the left, a gas line, another single gas line coming down to the right of the communication duct structure, so on and so forth. So again, your safety zone here would be extremely wide. Be cautious out there. You know, you can make a difference if we all work together to promote safety and prevent damage. Here on the screen is a snapshot of a vinyl banner that we have had produced and we provide to you at no charge. It has the national tagline, know what's below, call 811 before you dig, certainly call or contact, as we've already spoken about today. There's our web address, bluestakes.org. I will mail these to you upon request, and I will show you how to request that up and coming here. Here is a snapshot of our homepage, our web address again, bluestakes.org. Probably the most important part here on our website as well as on our app is submitting a new ticket request. Again, we're trying to work for you and make things really, really easy with all the technology that is available. Submit a locate request. You can come down here and do the drop down. You can do your updates from here underneath locate requests, as well as many other things, second notices and whatever. The events, such as we're doing here today, are listed here. All of our 624 members are listed here. A lot of resources. Back in October, so just about 3 months ago, we updated our excavators guide. Several of you who are past attendees have that pocket-sized guide, and I hope that you carry that with you. Now, because we're virtual, you can jump in, you can download a PDF version. You've always been able to, but now I would encourage you to download a PDF version of the new updated English excavators guide. You can do that from your app or the website. Again, here's our social media up here. I do want to talk about what I spoke about earlier, and that is an additional resource for you to utilize. It is right here where my cursor is. Excavation Safety 101. That is a hot link. Hover over it, click on it, open up an account. This is valid for anyone and everyone throughout our state. It's an additional 2-hour safety training. It also offers additional credits for those individuals who need CEU water and wastewater credits. So reach out there. Encourage you all to take that course. A lot of other great information on here. Spend some time on our app, on our website when you have time. All right, I have 4 survey questions for you. If you would get ready, we are coming to the top of the hour and we will finish things up here momentarily. Why did you attend today's webinar? You can see the 4 possible choices there. We hope that you found your time well spent, that you perhaps learned and heightened your awareness about safety, and just for those past attendees, a great refresher course. We'll go ahead and close the polling and run the next survey question. Overall, how would you rate today's webinar? Excellent, very good, good, or fair? This is our last webinar for this year with being virtual. We'll close the polling, run the next question. How much practical knowledge did you gain from today's event? A lot, some, a little, or none? We are very aware of the time and you taking the time to spend it with us. Thank you. We'll go ahead and give it 2 or 3 more seconds, close the polling, and run our final survey question. How much practical knowledge did you gain from, we're running the final question. What type of event would you be interested in attending in the future? In-person seminar, back to what we've done for years and years, a virtual webinar, either in-person or virtual event, maybe a hybrid. Go ahead and close the polling there. I definitely want to recognize and thank our co-sponsors once again, as well as all of our panelists for their presentations, as well as the support through the chat and the Q&A. Associated General Contractors, the Utah Pipeline Association, great groups that I have the privilege to participate and interact with these individuals and companies.